Given the state of AI and quantum computing, do you think that we're on the brink of human immortality?
I think we're on the brink of a health span revolution. I think immortality comes when we can scan the brain and upload you into the cloud.
You think that's the only way? We have to transcend biology?
People have to realize we're constantly replenishing all of the cells of our body anyway, right? Like the oldest cells in your body are your fat cells that are an average of 8 years old. Given AI, given quantum technology, we're going to start to understand why we age, how to slow it, stop it, maybe reverse it. And I think those things will get us north of 100 years. The bowhead whale, the largest mammal, can live 200 years. Greenland shark can live 500 years and have pups at 200 years old. And the question is, if they can live that long, why can't we? Mm-hmm. And for me, it's either a hardware problem or a software problem. And we're getting the tools to be able to deal with and edit our software, edit our hardware. And for people who are saying, well, am I going to be part of that? Am I going to live for hundreds of years? Am I going to have the chance to be immortal? I'm going to put aside the immortal part again. I think your mission should be, how do I live long enough, healthfully enough, to intercept the breakthroughs that are coming? Right. So it's interesting. Someone asked me a question like, how long do you want to live? Right. And I remember when I was in medical school, I set a 700-year lifespan, which is a ridiculous number. It's ridiculous because if I can live, I think another 30 years from now, the breakthroughs we're going to see are going to buy you the next 30 or 100 years. So your goal is to live long enough to intercept what's called longevity escape velocity.
Yeah, that to me feels very plausible when I think about the magic trick that is AI.
Yeah.
Walk me through what you think is the rough timeline. And I fully acknowledge that looking into the future when you're talking about something as revolutionary as AI becomes a little bit comical, but I think that it helps to map how you think about how this is going to work,
right?
Like what the problems are that we're going to solve. Where's the intersection of AI and quantum computing?
Yeah.
You're the only one I really hear talking about that and its importance in this revolution. What is it about quantum computing you think is going to help?
Yeah.
Are there qualities of AI that are only going to be possible with quantum computing? What are the next steps?
Let me define, first of all, lifespan and health span. So lifespan is how long you live, how long your heart is beating, how long your brain is processing. Health span is how long you've got the vital energy to enjoy life. You know, get up in the morning, play with your kids, your grandkids, go for a hike, enjoy yourself, have the mental, physical vitality, right? That's health span. And that's really what we want. You know, if someone says, I don't want to live to 120 years old, it's because they have a mental image of being in a wheelchair drooling, right? That's not what we're speaking about here. If I said to you at 120, your mind was as sharp as that ever was, you could, hit the ground and do 40 push-ups and, would you want to live to 120? And I think anybody who is loving life would say yes. So that's our goal. It's that level of vitality. So AI is going to play in this by helping us understand such a complicated situation. So why do some people live to 100 or 115 or 120 and smoke, and still get that far out, right? Why other people die at 50 or 60? And I think aging in human biology is so complicated that we're still deciphering it. We're still untangling this process. And there's so much data we can now get. And we've talked about, one of my companies, Fountain Life, is sort of like the most advanced diagnostics you can do. So when I go to Fountain Life, and we've got centers around the US, I will be digitally uploaded. So in the course of a day, I will have a full body MRI, an MRI of my brain vasculature, brain blood flow, a coronary CT, looking for soft plaque, DEXA scan, 120 blood biomarkers, metabolome, microbiome, your genetics, everything, right? So it's 150 gigabytes of data. And that data over the course of thousands of individuals can only be analyzed by AI. But then we can start to say, look, the people who were the healthiest and didn't have disease, or we can look at pre-symptomatic disease, and the people who developed this over time had this genetic sequence or had these blood biomarkers. It's the incorporation of massive data aggregation and AI that's going to help us understand why some people survive and thrive and others don't. And then what are the therapeutics? Look at everybody who took rapamycin or metformin or, was on, whatever drug combinations. It's so complicated, but we're running this massive experiment. And AI is going to help us to untangle that and get some insight and say, yes, for your genetics, for your age, for your objectives, these meds, these supplements are the best for you, right? That's one of the things I'm really working to build out for myself and our members at Fountain Life, is that kind of a correlation. Mm-hmm. Like what you want to do in life, your upload, your genetics, number of pills you're willing to take per day, this is the right combination for you.
Yeah, I think N of 1 is going to be a big part of this. Okay, I'm going to lay out my thesis.
Okay.
Tell me where I go wrong.
Please.
So one, I want to say that I come at this the way that a sci-fi writer would come at it. So I understand enough of it to get the gist and to be able to prognosticate. The specifics will be filled in by people that really know the science. But the way I see this playing out is that, okay, we need... This is a game of pattern recognition. There is
massive
a reason,
pattern recognition.
Right? There is a reason why we age. So step one is going to be by, I think, by getting into synthetic data very, very quickly. So we'll upload whatever the first 10,000, 100,000 people that go through something like Fountain Life, and we begin to speak the language of DNA, let's say, and we'll probably need to feed into the AI, not just human DNA, but across all kinds of species, feed it as much DNA as we can. It goes in, it learns the language of DNA. It begins to feed itself data and begin to try to predict different outcomes based on, okay, this environment with this genetic code, this drug interaction, whatever. Again, looking for the massive amount of data, but trying to parse out the different patterns in it so that it can isolate what the problem is. Now, with my very sort of layman understanding of all of this, my again, just guess at this point is that what's really going on is the epigenome is where all this breaks down. You know, David Sinclair's study as well as I do, which showed that even if you breed a mouse to just get massive amount of breaks in its DNA, over time, the DNA still looks the same. Like we are able to repair the DNA. It isn't what we used to think it was, which is you're getting these mutations in the DNA over time and the DNA is effectively getting corrupted. But something is happening. And so if that something is the epigenome where we're mistagging it, again, this is my layman's explanation of how this works, but they're going in and putting in the wrong bookmarks. For people that don't know how this works, your DNA is basically really tightly wound. And a little bit of it gets exposed to say, I'm an eye cell, I'm a skin cell, I'm a heart cell, whatever. And as you age, you're de-differentiating. And so your eye cell maybe now isn't purely an eye cell because parts of the DNA are unraveling. So it's a little bit of a skin cell, a little bit of a heart cell, a little bit of an eye cell. And so now this is where the function begins to degrade over time. If the AI can figure out, okay, cool, that really is the problem. This is exactly what's going on. Yeah. Here are the Yamanaka factors or whatever that you need to put to work to rewind the cell so that it resets. And so now we're getting the bookmarks in all the right places. That part, once that's figured out, again, my gut instinct is that's going to be handled through the AI using quantum computing to be able to crunch just an unbelievable amount of synthetic data. So we don't have, because if you have to feed in millions or billions of people, like I just worry that that's going to take way too long for somebody of my age. But if we can do this via synthetic data, then the odds that it goes faster go way up.
Yeah.
Where's the flaw in that thinking?
Listen, when I was in medical school, I don't know, 35 years ago, I went arguably to the best medical university and engineering schools on the planet. And none of this was being talked about, right? All of this is really, this entire conversation is the last 5-6 years. And it's moving very fast. It was heresy before to talk about longevity or age reversal. And now it's one of the hottest subjects on the planet because it's the biggest marketplace. I mean, what would you not pay for an extra 20 or 30 health years of life? So yes, we are, to echo what you said, if you think about it, each of us get 3.2 billion nucleotides, our genome, 3.2 billion letters from our mom and from our dad. And you've got that same genome when you're born, when you're 20, when you're 50, when you're 100, maybe when you're 150. But why don't you look the same if you've got the exact same instruction set? Why don't you have a 12 pack, if that's a thing, or a 6-pack, whatever, when you're 80, like you had when you were 20?
That one I can answer, but the face, I think, is because the 6-pack has everything to do with your lifestyle. If you're just putting on too much fat, it is what it is.
I mean, my point simply being is, why don't you have the physique or the ability to build muscle or everything of your youth when you're 100? Why is there a difference? And it isn't your genome. It isn't your 3.2 billion letter instruction set. It is what you just said a minute ago, your epigenome. Epi for the Greek word for above, and it's the control system. And you're right. When you're just born, or when you're 10, or when you're 20, when you're 80, different genes are on and different genes are off. And the epigenome is the control of which genes are on and which genes are off. At the highest level, it is the control of the genes for skin are on in your skin cells, and the gene for your hepatocytes are on in your liver. And so there are different cells. They've differentiated, silencing certain genes and saying, your genes aren't needed here in the skin cell. You don't need to be, purifying out urine, right? And so as you age, what apparently is going on is that the control of which genes are on and which genes are off are beginning to blur. And as you're getting older, the genes that should be off are turned on, or the genes that should be on are turned off. I'll give you an example. Skin. The supple skin of a child, of a newborn, right? Part of what's going on is we have something like 23 collagen genes, and we express multiple collagen molecules that make your skin, give it the texture and so forth. But as you grow older, we begin to silence some of those genes. And so the collagen molecules of the 23, maybe only 8 or 9 are expressed. And so you start to get, wrinkles, and, your skin starts to look that of an old person.
If you like that clip, check out another powerful clip right here, and I'll see you there.